Hello again, fellow friends, and welcome back to this, my first ever revisited video. Now, you may or may not know, back in October 2017, I uploaded a little video called 10 Things I Do / Don't Want to See in Mortal Kombat 11. And it was obviously just a wish list of things I do and don't want to see. Well, now, the game has been out for 3 months-ish, and it's now time to go through that list, I think, and see how many of the 10 things I do / don't want to see in the game to be returning in the game. So let's do this. Alright, the number one thing I did / didn't want to see in Mortal Kombat 11 was this. Number one, I want to see SubZero. And I think it's safe to say that that was a success. We got SubZero, and we didn't just get SubZero. SubZero is awesome in the game. I know, like, some people, like, he's not very top tier, but he's solid. He's a solid character, and he's fun to play as. I was a bit concerned. I was like, oh man, what if the game comes out and I don't like playing as SubZero? What if, like, just his moveset and everything, I don't really like it? But that's all gone out the window, because he is awesome, and I'm glad to see him in there, and he is, once again, my main. On to the next one. Number two, I don't want to see SubZero and Scorpion's alliance end. No, I do not. This one came true as well. I was expecting this one. I was totally expecting SubZero to be in the game, but I was expecting SubZero and Scorpion's alliance to end. I thought they would just be like, oh well, they're enemies again. And it's kind of weird because, like, there's spoilers for the story. If you haven't finished the story, whatever, go play it or watch a video of it or something. But it does and it doesn't end. Because, like, at the end of the game, everything that happened in Mortal Kombat 11 and X and 9 got undone. Never happened. Which kind of sucks. But during the story of the game, of MK11, they were still allies. The best chapter in the game, in my opinion, I might be biased, is where you play as SubZero and Scorpion working together to infiltrate the Cyber Lin Kuei, and they meet Frost and Noob Saibot and everything. How is it not the best scene in the game, chapter in the game? It's so good. So yeah, Scorpion and SubZero working as allies. Chef's kiss emoji. Number three, I want to see variations return. Yeah, I think it's safe to say variations returned in force. Each character only has, well, I was going to say each character only has 2 now, as opposed to the 3 they had in the previous game. But really, each character has 4, because each character has 2 variations that are allowed to be used in ranked matches and tournaments and things like that. Those are like the 2 like real variations. But then each character also has 2 other variations that are just in the game randomly that you can use in all the other modes. And then of course there's custom variations, which wasn't a thing I even thought was going to happen, where you can just make your own variation and choose moves and customize it and everything, but you can't use it in ranked or the big fancy Combat League mode they introduced. So I basically just stick to the ranked variations for most of my... No. I think 2 of my characters... No, 3... I know how to play 5 characters, and 3 of them strictly I use their ranked variations. And the other 2 I use slight tweaks on the ranked variations. So yeah, variation system returned, in force, better than ever. Awesome. Number 4. I don't want to see a gear system. Yes, I'm looking at Injustice 2. Now this one, I should clarify, it's not that I didn't want to see a gear system, it's just that I didn't want to see a gear system that was done the way it did it in Injustice 2. And they basically did do it the way they did it in Injustice 2. With regards to, they basically took the multiverse from Injustice 2, which I didn't like. That was the main way to get gear, and they said, look, if you want to get gear, you got to play the multiverse, and don't just play the multiverse, you've got to grind it a lot, which ordinarily wouldn't be a problem, except it's against the computer. And as you all know by now, I don't like fighting the computer in fighting games. Ever since I started playing fighting games online, I find fighting the computer to be boring and unrewarding and not as fun as fighting a real person. You can't play mind games with a computer. You can with a real person. You can condition people to, like, do what you want them to do, to set up certain attacks and things, and you can't do that with a computer. And plus, it's just more satisfying to beat another person online. And they basically remade the multiverse system and called it Towers of Time, and then tied a lot of the gear to it, and a bunch of trophies, and not so much now, because I've got a lot of gear now in the game, but when the game first came out, it just felt like every time I played it, it was trying to push me towards Towers of Time. Just, there you go, play Towers of Time. We put a lot of effort into this mode, play it. And I was like, No, but I did because I wanted to get the gear and stuff. And there's a lot of grinding. I mean, there's a lot of grinding now. I didn't do the Towers of Time in the first 2 days of the game before they patched it to make it less grindy. Apparently, it was insane. If you want to do a certain character's towers, like say SubZero's towers, you can start doing the towers, but for some reason they're locked behind grind walls. For some reason, so it's like, hey, if you want to do this tower, you have to get 100 wins with SubZero. But it's not just 100 wins. You can't just go online and fight. It's got to be 100 wins in towers. So in the Towers of Time or in the classic towers. So it's more grinding against the computer. Yay, I love it. And then there's other towers requirements where they're like, you've got to do 25 fatal blows. You've got to do 25 fatalities. You've got to do 35 brutalities. And it's just like, man, this takes a long time. And they added an AI mode into the game where you can let the computer fight for you. And this is where I stand on this. If you put a mode in your game where the game plays itself to alleviate the grind for the player, your game might be too fucking grindy. Okay, that's all I've got to say about that. Number 5. I want to see this song as the main theme. I really did not think this one was going to come through. I would have put money on the Mortal Kombat theme song not being in the game, because I was like, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. But it kind of did. When the I think it was at the launch trailer or the story trailer. I always forget. I think it was the launch trailer. It was easily the greatest Mortal Kombat trailer I've ever seen, and probably the greatest game trailer I've ever seen. It was so awesome. It showed so much awesome stuff, and it had this cool new cover of the Mortal Kombat theme tune from the film. It's like they finally... I did a reaction video to that trailer, and you can see me when I realized the music in the background, and I'm like, oh my god, they're recognizing the existence of this music, because for years... I mean, that film came out in, what, 95? And it took them until now to put that tune, which is known as the Mortal Kombat theme tune, into a Mortal Kombat game. And admittedly, it was just the trailer. However, one of the stages in the game is called Tournament, and when you go on there, there's a remixed sort of cover version of that tune. It's basically got the same melody, but it's like totally different sounding, but it's that tune. You can tell. It's got the old dum 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 dum. You know the tune. It's got that in it. So yeah, the tune, while not the exact version from the film, there is a version of it in the game. So double thumbs up for that. Number 6. I don't want to see invasion bosses. I hated invasion bosses in Mortal Kombat X. They were awful. The only reason I did them was because there's a trophy where you have to land cumulatively 1,000 hits against invasion bosses, and they are thoroughly unpleasant fights. I did a whole video on them where I was just like, this is awful. I hope they're not in the game. And they're not. They do have bosses every now and then that turn up in the Towers of Time, but they're actually cool. They work... They're kind of similar in so much as they've got a lot of health and you've got to work with other people to destroy the boss. But unlike the invasion bosses in Mortal Kombat X, where the boss has an insane amount of health, and then you just go in and you fight and you try and chip away some damage, and it takes the efforts of hundreds of thousands of people doing that, fighting on their own against this boss, to effectively work the health bar down. This is different. With this, you team up with 2 people, and the boss doesn't have an insane amount of health, but he's definitely got a lot of health. And one person fights, and the other 2 people can use modifiers to help them. And then when that person gets KO'd, the second player jumps in. And the idea is you've got 3 players to try and take this boss down. And it's not been particularly hard the 3 times I've done it. So they brought back bosses, but made them way better. They're not invasion bosses. There's no invasions. There's no factions anymore. So invasion bosses, I didn't want to see them, and now I don't see them. Number 7. I want to see Noob Saibot return. Now this is the one I really wanted to see in the game, because I was like, okay, so, yep, I want to see SubZero in the game, no big deal, he's going to be in the game, he always is. But Noob Saibot, I wanted him in the game so bad, because I was like, oh my god, I wanted him in Mortal Kombat X, and he just never turned up. And I was like, damn you, Nightwolf, kicking him into a Solnado. And then this is my reaction to when they announced Noob Saibot, revealed Noob Saibot was going to be in the game.
And then from those, we take it to mocap. Oh, shit. Oh, I did a bad. I went too far, I'm sorry.
You saw nothing.
Boy.
You saw
I mean, we know
nothing.
you're already in it because of the
There
link.
was nothing.
Hold on, everybody, hold on.
No
We're
one
gonna
told me
get
the
there.
clicker didn't have a stopper. I know, I botched it. Anyway,
Noob
back to
Saibot.
Baraka. We capture the fighters.
Fuck yes,
and then
Noob
I
Saibot.
take it into Motion Builder where I set up the cameras and shakes and edits.
Well, we
and,
already knew he was in the
do
game, so
cinematography for it.
thanks,
I believe
leaked
we have a video for that as
spoiler
well.
roster bullshit.
See, he's awesome. He's back, baby. And at first, I didn't really like playing as him. It was what I was worried with SubZero. I started playing as Noob Saibot, and I was like, I don't actually like this. I don't like his moveset, you know. So I did drop him for a little while, but then I went back to him, and now I'm enjoying him a bit more. Like, I still prefer SubZero, and I enjoy playing as Baraka and even Cetrion more than Noob Saibot. But I think I'll grow to like Noob Saibot fighting style more. So yeah, he's back, baby, and he's awesome, and he's got, I was going to say one of the best fatalities in the game, but there's so many damn good ones. It's not like Mortal Kombat X, where they were like, you know what, some of our fatalities are just going to be garbage. Like Liu Kang's fatality, where he just rips out their voice box and then pushes them over. Ooh, that's really worthy of the ultimate Shaolin legend that defeated Shao Kahn's 9-tournament streak in Mortal Kombat 1. And then in this game, they were like, oh, wait, no, he needs awesome ones, so they gave him awesome ones. Everyone's got awesome ones. So there's that.
Number 8. I don't want to not see Noob Saibot return. That's right, he's taken up 2 slots, because that's how disappointed I was with him not being in Mortal Kombat X.
And of course, this one goes hand in hand with the previous one. I wanted Noob Saibot, and I didn't want to not see Noob Saibot. Both of those came true. Boom, done. Noob Saibot's in the game.
Number 9. I want to see fewer guest characters.
I didn't think this was going to happen, and it looks like it's not going to happen, because NetherRealm said that they're going to support this game longer than they've supported any other game, so I think there's going to be 3 combat packs. That's what I think, at least. Maybe more, because it might be a long time before we get another Mortal Kombat, because they might do another Injustice, and Ed Boon said that they want to work on something new as well, so this might be like the Mortal Kombat game for the next 8 years, maybe, who knows. So they said they're going to support it longer than they have before, and they did 2 combat packs in Mortal Kombat X, but they were only 4 characters each, and the combat packs in this one are 6 characters each, which is great, except, once again, half the DLC is going to be guests. Yay! It's like, how about, look, it's a Mortal Kombat game, how about we have Mortal Kombat characters in it? Why do fighting games all have to have guests these days? And it started off okay, you know, with well, I was going to say start off with Soul Calibur 4. I think the first instance of guests I remember in fighting games was probably Soul Calibur 2, where the PlayStation 2 version had Heihachi from Tekken. The Xbox version had Spawn. Never cared about Spawn. And the GameCube version had Link. And I was like, that's odd, but pretty cool. Heihachi's cool. You know, he kind of fits in the game. And then Soul Calibur 4, they had Darth Vader and Yoda. It's like, what? And The Apprentice. But, you know, they were cool. They weren't big distractions. Soul Calibur 5, they had Ezio from Assassin's Creed. He actually fit in the universe, and it was only 1 guest character. Now there's 6 characters per DLC, per combat pack, and at least in the first combat pack, 3 of them are guests. So it's safe to assume that the next combat pack is going to have half guests as well. Why do we need so many damn guests? And if we're going to get 3 combat packs of 6 characters each, that's 9 guests. Why has half the DLC got to be guests? And it's like, I guess it's awesome if you want the guests. I mean, I'm not really a fan of guests in fighting games, like I've said. But in Mortal Kombat X, when they released Predator, I was like, okay, I already bought the combat pack anyway. And this says something about this game. I'm not buying the combat pack. That's what it says about this game. So I bought Predator, and I was like, oh my god, Predator, he's awesome. Like, I love Predator. This is crazy. And then Jason Voorhees, I don't care. And Leatherface, I don't care. And then they were like, Alien. And I was like, they wouldn't dare. They did! Alien and Predator. Oh my god, that's amazing. So I'm kind of conflicted, because I don't like guests, but at the same time, Alien and Predator in a Mortal Kombat game. It's amazing. But I still would have preferred it if half the DLC wasn't guests. Especially, I wouldn't mind so much if there wasn't so many legendary Mortal Kombat characters that keep missing the cut. People like Fujin. If you don't count Armageddon, which you shouldn't, because Armageddon has every character in the series up until that point. If you don't count that one, we haven't seen Fujin playable in a game in like 18 years or something like that. Smoke, I mean, look, Smoke was... we don't count Triborg, I mean real Smoke. He was last seen in MK9. That was only 2 games ago, and that was 9 years ago, or 8 years ago. So, like, actual characters that people have wanted for years to come back, like Smoke, Fujin, Rain, you know, all these characters, and they're like, nah, Now let's have a bunch of guests. Let's throw in some Nightwolf and Sindel. I mean, this is why I'm not getting the combat pack, right? They brought back Shang Tsung, and this is, there's no denying, awesome. They got Kari Tagawa to do the voice and the facial capture for Shang Tsung. And if you don't know who that is, that's the guy that played Shang Tsung in the Mortal Kombat film. There's a lot of callbacks to the film in this game, even more so than in Mortal Kombat X. And most people agree that, like, I mean, I think that film kind of had perfect casting. Like, you believed all of these actors as all of these characters. And Kari Tagawa as Shang Tsung was clearly loving the role. He was having fun. And, like, for years since, he's always taking pictures with people and they're getting him to say, your soul is mine and all this. He seems to love it. So they got him back on board. So he did the voice and the facial capture. So Shang Tsung in this game looks like Shang Tsung from the film. And if you buy the combat pack, you can even get his outfit from the film. He's got the long black jacket. Awesome. Love seeing Shang Tsung back. Got no interest in playing as him, though. And also, there's a bit of a... I think they tried to do something that was meant to be sort of like to please people, but it just kind of pissed people off. Where they said Shang Tsung's famous for being able to morph into other people. And in this game, you can create custom variations, as I've said, where you can attach certain abilities to a character, and then they can use those abilities. Well, some of the extra abilities they gave Shang Tsung in this game are turning into characters that people want in the game. Like Reptile. I'm okay with Reptile not being in this game, because he's always in it, and he's never been... Like, he's always popular as in people like the character, but you don't see that many people using Reptile online, or at least I don't. So I would have been okay with Reptile sitting this one out. And Ermac as well, to be fair. I'm like, look, Ermac's okay, but not great. But Smoke, you can... There's a move where Shang Tsung can do Reptiles. He turns into Reptile and does his slide. There's a move where he turns into Ermac and does his telelift. There's a move where he turns into Smoke and does this parry move that can parry projectiles or physical attacks. And Rain, where he can turn into Rain and do the roundhouse kick. And they're all dressed in the awesome classic ninja outfit. And it's like, I guess they did that to make people go, hey, look, you like these characters? Here they are. But all it feels like is just like, hey, look at these characters. You want them, don't you? Fuck off, you can't use them. That's what it feels like. But that's not the reason I'm not buying Shang Tsung. I'm just not buying Shang Tsung because he just doesn't really appeal to me in terms of playing as him as a character. I've never really had that, but I've always liked Shang Tsung. He's always been awesome. You know who I haven't ever liked? Nightwolf and Sindel. And they're back as DLC characters. Yay! 2 characters from MK9. Yay! What about all the characters from before MK9 that people have been wanting for years? Like, I know I keep saying it, Fujin. Like, I'd love to see Fujin come back. I would probably buy him if he was DLC. I am not going to buy Sindel, because I've never given half a crap about her. And apparently, her intro dialogues with other characters were leaked, apparently. I haven't read them because I stay away from leaks. But apparently, these intro dialogues, they've 100% changed her character, and people do not like it. So even the people that want Sindel aren't happy. Nightwolf, I never give a shit about Nightwolf. Oh, look, I'm a Native American, I can throw axes, look at me. And also, he's the one that kicked Noob Saibot into that Solnado, meaning Noob Saibot wasn't in Mortal Kombat X. So I'm a bit salty about that. But yeah, I don't care about... I do care about Shang Tsung, but I'm not going to buy him. I don't care about Nightwolf, not going to buy him. I don't care about Sindel, not going to buy her. So that only leaves, in terms of the combat pack, the 3 guests. And have they... I'm trying to think now. Have they announced any of the guests? Yeah, Spawn. So Spawn is in it. Never gave a shit about Spawn, so I'm not buying him. I know a lot of people have wanted him for years. And like I said, he was a guest in Soul Calibur 2. And the way I'm looking at it is like, look, he's already been a guest in a fighting game. He's had his turn. What about characters that haven't had a turn yet, But this is the way I'm looking at it. Just because I don't like the characters that are in the combat pack, that doesn't mean that they're wrong to do it, because there's a lot of people that this combat pack is making very happy, and I'm fine with that. I got SubZero, I got Noob Saibot. The characters I wanted to see in the game are in the game, basically. My absolute must-have characters, they are in the game. So I'm not crying too much about the characters in the DLC not being characters I want, because like I say, so many people love Sindel and Nightwolf, apparently. I never knew until recently. And, loads of people have wanted Spawn for years and years and years. They wanted him in Injustice 2. They wanted him in Mortal Kombat X. So they're making a lot of people happy with this combat pack. That's fine. Can we just fast forward to Combat Pack 2, though? Because, oh man. And if we must have guests, there's only one guest that I would actually be like, okay, take my money. And that would be Doom Guy. Because he's perfect for Mortal Kombat. He runs around tearing demons to pieces with his bare hands. In Doom 2016, they introduced a mechanic where you're basically just doing fatalities on people. I remember when they first showed Doom 2016 to people behind closed doors at E3, like, I don't know, 2014, something like that, people came out with reports of what they'd seen. And one of the things that stuck with me was they said, "Oh, you move so fast, and you can run around and do fatality type moves on people." And I was like, "Oh, I'm a Mortal Kombat fan. You have my attention." And I've always been a Doom fan anyway. And yeah, then I got the game, and yeah, when you damage an enemy enough, they go into a stagger state, and then you can go up to them, and depending on which part of their body you're looking at, when you click the right stick, you'll do like this glory kill, they call them, and it's just a fatality. One of them, it just grabs this imp's head and tears it clean in two. That's literally a reptile fatality from Mortal Kombat X. He spits acid on him and then just tears the head in two. Like, Doom Guy is made for Mortal Kombat X, and with all the custom variation moves, the abilities that you could give him, he's got so many weapons and tools at his disposal, and he's got a new game coming out this year. He's never been more relevant. So he should be the guest. But he won't be, because the other two remaining guests for the first Combat Pack have been teased. And I remember saying, wouldn't it be cool if Terminator was a guest? And then after a while I thought about it, and I was like, oh, maybe not, because how are they going to make him fun and interesting to play as? Look, I love the Terminator, don't get me wrong. But if you think about what he does in terms of combat in the films, it's basically just a load of shooting people and, like, shoving people in corridors. It's basically it. Is he particularly versatile in his combat in the films? Is he... Watching him fist... He doesn't really fist fight anyone, does he? He, like, grabs the T-1000 and throws him against a wall a couple of times, you know. How are they going to make Terminator interesting is my concern. But he's basically guaranteed to be a guest, because at the end of the Combat Pack trailer where they showed Shang Tsung, in fact I think it was the Shang Tsung reveal trailer, and then they showed a teaser for Spawn. They showed his cape and some chains and stuff. I guess that's his power. And you could hear just a faint sort of, which is like obviously the Terminator music. So everyone's like, okay, Terminator, it's basically guaranteed. And there was a chainsaw sound as well. Now, I would love it if that was Doom Guy, because Doom Guy does have a chainsaw every now and then. But it won't be, will it? It'll be Ash from the Evil Dead, because lots of people have wanted him for a long time as well. And you know what? I could see that. I could see him being a guest, because he's got a lot of funny one-liners, and he is known for his ultra-violence, and he's got a chainsaw for an arm. Like, I mean, unlike the Terminator, he's just naturally interesting to think about fighting as. So, I mean, Ash from the Evil Dead... I may end up buying him. Who knows? Probably not. It depends on his gameplay. And obviously Terminator and Ash I'm keeping an eye on. Probably won't buy them though. But if instead of Ash it's Doom Guy, take my money. If they did that, I'd probably buy the Combat Pack just as a thanks. I'd be like, take more money just as a thanks. So yeah, Doom Guy would be awesome, but no, I don't expect anything else. There's rumors that it's going to be Joker for some reason, as in the DC Joker. For some reason. It's dumb enough that he fights in Injustice, a series that he kind of belongs in it, because, you know, he's a DC character, but he's like, you're fighting all these superhumans, and he's just a guy. That was so dumb. And then seeing him go up against Scorpion and stuff, and Raiden, that'll be, I'm taking my money back if they try and sell him. And then there's Pennywise as well, because people are like, oh, Stephen King's here, it's back, it's all the rage, and Pennywise is so scary. Now, at the very least, Pennywise would be interesting. I wouldn't buy him, got no interest in him, but he would be at least interesting, because he can change into all sorts of things, apparently. I don't know, I haven't seen the film, but he looks kind of creepy and he does weird things, so that would be interesting, but I don't want him. I don't want Pennywise. I don't want Joker. People have wanted Michael Myers as well from the Halloween films, and it's like, why though? We just had Jason Voorhees, a silent masked killer you use as a blade from a horror film. We just had one of those. We don't need another one. Come on. Michael Myers. It's like, oh yeah, pick a less interesting character. I challenge you to do that. So all these things people are hinting at and rumors and stuff, it's just like, man, can we just get to Combat Pack 2 already? I just want to see Doom Guy. In fact, what I want to see is more Mortal Kombat characters. That's what I want to see. I want to see more Mortal Kombat characters and fewer precious roster slots wasted on characters that frankly don't deserve to be in the game. But you know, they make money, the guest characters sell, which is why they keep putting them in the games. So there's that. And finally, the number 10 thing that I do/don't want to see in Mortal Kombat 11 is I don't want to see motherfucking gamble boxes in Mortal Kombat 11. Ah yes, this final one. I don't want to see gamble boxes. Now, on the plus side, there's no gamble boxes, so that's a win. But my issue with the gamble boxes in Injustice, my fear was that they were going towards a microtransaction route. And there are microtransactions in this game. You can buy time crystals, but they it's just like the well, it's like the easy fatality tokens in MKX, which also are back in MK11. They're harmless if you don't buy them. It's not like your game experience is limited in any way if you don't buy them. So my issue with microtransactions is when they design the game so that you feel like you're pressured into buying the microtransactions, because it feels manipulative, and that's, as pretentious as this might sound, they're sacrificing their art for profit, and I don't like that. You know, I can understand it, but I don't like it. GTA Online did that. Constantly, it was trying to push you to buy shark cards, and the game would have been better. It would have been more fun if they weren't trying to sell you virtual currency. That's just, in my mind, a fact. And luckily, Mortal Kombat X and 11 aren't like that. Because you get time crystals. I mean, I get time crystals all the time from completing certain towers, and you get a bunch for doing the tutorials and stuff like that. I've got like 5,000 time crystals because I never spend them. There's virtually nothing I want to spend them on. So I'm fine with that. I mean, you can look at the store every day, and there's like 5 items, like different skins or whatever for characters, and I just open it up and I look, and if there aren't any for Noob or SubZero or the other characters I play as, then I'll just quit out. And those skins cost like, I think, 500 time crystals a piece, and like I say, I've been sat on 5,000 time crystals for a while now, so those microtransactions are not an issue for me. And the easy fatalities are also not a thing for me. I don't use easy fatality tokens. I actually prefer doing the inputs. So I don't even know what buttons would trigger the easy fatalities. I think it's R2 and square, maybe, something like that. So there's 2 types of microtransaction in the game, and in my mind, they're perfectly fine. They're harmless, they don't make the game worse, and this is good, because I thought they were going to go the other way. After Mortal Kombat X, when they introduced the easy fatality tokens, and I thought, okay, this is them dipping their toes into microtransactions. And then with Injustice 2, they brought out loot boxes. Now, you didn't pay real money to open them. I think maybe you could pay money to buy the super rare ones. I'm not sure, though. I might be making that up. But they brought in loot boxes, and for the most part, you didn't have to pay any money or anything to open them. But I was like, okay, so they've tested microtransactions, they've tested loot boxes, they're going to put them together, aren't they? But they didn't, thank God. They surprisingly, they went the other way. So that's awesome. So there are no goddamn loot gamble rubbish boxes. My other issue with the gamble boxes was that, this was also an issue with the gear system, was that it just took so much time away from actually just playing the game online. Just fight. With Injustice, it was like, okay, I'm turning the game on. Right, I've got all these loot boxes to open. I've got to sit through the animation every time. I've got to do all this. And it's always just junk for characters that you don't use. And they're like, congratulations, you got this. And I'm like, but fuck off, I don't want it. Don't act like you've done me a favor. You just wasted my time. And I was concerned that would be the case with this. It is a little bit the case with the way that they push you into the towers of time and stuff. But like I say, we're only 3 months in, and I feel like I'm past the stage where I feel like the game is pushing me towards all the single player content now. Like I've finished the story, I've done some arcade towers with people to see their endings, and every now and then I'll dip back into the towers of time, because I've still got. If you want to unlock things for specific characters, like outro animations and new skins and gear and stuff like that, you can do their own tower. So I've done SubZero's tower, I've done Baraka's tower, I've nearly finished Noob's tower, and then I've got Cetrion's tower, and I might do Frost's tower. Who knows? So I'm dipping back in to do those, and every now and then there will be a new tower that shows up. Like recently, there was a new tower that showed up, and it was there for 3 days. And when you finish all of the towers, the final prize was the gear for SubZero, where he's maskless, where he's not wearing his mask. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I went and did that tower. It was nice and easy, didn't take very long. And yeah, so I got maskless SubZero, and he looks awesome. So I'll dip into Towers of Time every now and then. I don't feel like I'm pressured into it after 3 months of playing the game. So yeah, I don't want to see gamble boxes in the game. Gamble boxes aren't in the game. So let's tally up, shall we? So things that came to pass. Okay, so I want SubZero in the game. That's 1. I don't want to see SubZero and Scorpion's Alliance end. That's 2. I want to see Variations return. That's 3. I don't want to see a gear system. Okay, a gear system came in full force. It's a much better system than the one in Injustice 2, but the fact remains, I said I don't want to see a gear system. So that's 1 for the bad side. I want to hear this song as the main theme, yes. I don't want to see invasion bosses, yes. I want to see Noob Saibot return, yes. I don't want to see him not return. I want to see fewer guest characters, nope. And I don't want to see gamble boxes. So that's 8 of the 10 things that I do/don't want to see in Mortal Kombat 11. 8 of them came true, and 2 of them did not. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because it could have been a lot worse. So yeah, there's that. I don't know if I'm going to be doing any more revisiting videos. I only revisited this one because now the game's out, and it's my most viewed video. It's like 213,000 views or something. So I couldn't not revisit it. It's a thing some people do, apparently. So I thought I'd come back and just see how much of my hopes and dreams were dashed. And the answer is, not many. Cheers for watching. Do all the stuff you do, and I will say peace and chicken grease.